Welcome to Watchfire Hobbies. Today, we are painting the Stahltruppen from the Konflikt 47. We're going to do this in two ways. One, which I'm calling our factory fresh camo. Very simple scheme. And two, I'm going to show them what they look like and after they've used way too much of the Rift energy. So, let's grab a brush, settle in, and enjoy the process. So for our Stahltruppen, I'm just going to call them stormtroopers now, guys. Sorry. For our stormtroopers, they've all been primed black. This is going to serve as the first layer of our camo because we're going with kind of an urban scheme. So the next layer, we're going to use our Mechanica standard gray. And we're just going to come in. We're going to just do some kind of like bobulous shapes. Kind of make it, you don't want anything too, too perfect. God doesn't work in straight lines, whole thing. So just come and hit each panel with a little bit, here and there. This is kind of what, somebody in the factory would probably spray paint them, or whatever they'd use in this era. While we're waiting for that to dry, we're going to come in here with the Evil Sun Scarlet. And we're going to do these ridges. I'm assuming they're supposed to be like, weapon mounts, but I'm kind of thinking that they'd look good as the red accents that you commonly see on historical Axis uniforms or in movies. So we're going to just paint these up red. What is nice is if, making a mistake here, you are going to come back in with a couple more dark colors. So if you go a little bit over, you could just, make it a little bit of the camo. Again, I'm devising the scheme to make these done as quick as possible. And that actually adds a bit of color. That's how they're looking currently. So our next step, we're going to hit some more blob shapes and just make them out of Chorus Black. Chorus Black's just a really dark gray. And again, I'm just coming in here and I'm trying to make sure it touches both colors. Just doing some nice little shapes. Again, nothing too, jagged, too straight. Like every armor panel gets a little dot here. That includes the shoulders that, have the red on them. And again, I don't know if this necessarily, you can see it. You have to look, but you can actually see it. My whole thought about this is right now, that'd be the three colors. You got your red, your black, and your two grays. So, there you go. So then, our next thing is we're going to get out some Iron Warriors, do the eyes, do a quick dry brush over everything, including the gun, and then, believe it or not, our factory fresh Stormtrooper is done. I also do want to point out, I did hit these 3 rivets. They have 3 rivets on each hand, just red. Just because if not, these models are very, black and gray, and especially once they're going to have the helmets on, there's not going to be a lot of color to them until we add the next step. So if you go with, I definitely recommend if you go with what I'm calling factory fresh, make sure the knuckles are done just to add a little distinction. But back to painting. So for our next step, we're just going to come in quickly with a dry brush of Iron Warriors. We're just really going to try to get the edges of the armor here. Definitely the gun. Just kind of just get the very, very edges of this for your metallic look. This will make more sense, especially if you're going with the not the factory fresh look. This is that's actually the last step besides the eyes for the factory fresh look. But just kind of trying to get it so that it looks metallic and sharp. And we do actually have to come in here and get the eyes. I'll get them with the same color. I'm going to a slightly thinner brush than that. This is just a quick downward brush. And for the eyes, we're just actually going to do a little different, I think. Usually I go reds or blues. I want some Plague Bearer flush. Now this is because you can choose whatever color you want here. I'm choosing this because I'm going to go to the next, not the factory fresh, but the guys who have been around a little bit using the corrupted rift power. I kind of want them to look a little diseased. So I'm going to do that. Just tap all 3 of these. And then our factory fresh friend is done. Like I said, this is super simple, kind of a quick scheme to get these guys on the table. But, yeah. And here's our factory fresh squad. Everybody's all, ready to go right off the assembly line. But let's take it to the next step. With a couple colors and a little more contrast, we can show what happens after you use too much of the Dresden Rift energy. So let's go and get started. So the first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to add some rust effect to all the panels. Mainly kind of where, it would sit, kind of stuff breaking out. So to do this, here's a little Ryan X hide, everybody's favorite brown. All right. So again, I'm just coming in here very carefully, just kind of hitting those edges and let it drip down a little bit. This is really going to just add to the effect. I kind of picture the Dresden Rift. It's not as, supposedly, per the lore, from what I understand the lore, it's not as clean as the one in America. And, conflict people, who know a little more of the lore, I'm sure that's not 100%, correct, but I'm kind of seeing it as a corrupted energy. So just coming in here, we're going to hit all the edges and making sure we get underside and the servos in the back. And so you see the Ronic side is dried. We're going to now come in and do a little bit of Nasdrag yellow. Now this is really going to go under the panels. I really like this. It's like a weird off brownish yellow, I would say, more than anything. So like I said, we're just going to come in here and kind of just dinge up the under panels. Not being super careful, as it is going to be part of the rust effects. I've been playing around with this color a little bit. I really am starting to like it. I'm thinking about doing this over bone for some Nurgle Chaos Knights. But I think it just gives this weird sickly yellow look that I'm really digging, and kind of looks grimy. Adds to the grime effect. And for our final paint, we're going to come in with some Riser Rust. Now we're just going to, touch up a couple spots with this. Now this is a dry, so, dry paint. We're not going to use too much of it, but... And literally we're just going to come in here and kind of hit all those brown areas. We're just kind of drag a little bit around there. Really kind of show that that this guy has been corrupted by the Rift energy. And this is kind of where you get to play with it a little bit. You can go down, you can have him, go here. And there we are. Like I said, it's a nice touch up, just a couple spots of rust, really bring that out. So now we're just going to throw on some basic, probably Urban Rebel scheme, very similar to what we did in our Tyranid scheme. I will be doing an updated one just for it, but it's just going to be texture paste and a couple colors. Then we're ready for the big reveal. And there we go. The quick basing scheme for a quick paint scheme. These were super fun to paint, and really happy with how they came out. Very quick, I think they look good on the table. That being said, do you want to see the, some of the introduction missions? I'm not doing the first one on how to move and stuff, but some of the later ones, if you guys want to see that, let me know in the comments down below. I have the Fireflies painted up as a test scheme for my Canadians. So yeah, definitely let me know down below. And while you're at it, like, subscribe, that really helps me out. So let's round with the rest of the squad, get them on the tabletop, and see how they'd look. Thank you for spending some of your hobby time with me today. Until next time, enjoy your hobby.